Anderson Silva did not beat Jake Paul.
No. Not a surprise, the age difference. And, I had said all along, as far as like the Anderson Silva, a lot of people with Anderson Silva kind of gave him this idea that he's a great boxer because he beat Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. But, that Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. was not ready to fight on that night. And Anderson, Anderson's a great striker and everything, but he's 47 years old. And the fight was competitive. I heard that there were, I did not see it, but I heard that there were rounds. Anderson Silva won rounds, not as, he won a few rounds. He was not as aggressive as Jake Paul. There were rounds that he landed more than Jake Paul. He had the fight won going into the last round. Jake Paul, probably stamina. Round 6, 7, and 8, Jake Paul pretty much won those rounds pretty clean. And in the 8th round, he dropped Anderson Silva. So, the people waiting for the MMA guy to hand Jake Paul a win, you're going to wait a lot longer. Jake obviously really pushed. I guess that there was some stuff backstage with Jake Paul's crew and Nate Diaz's crew. And, they had altercations, and there may have even been slight physicality. And Jake Paul called out Nate Diaz, and I'm sure Nate Diaz will love the payday that he would get. But Nate Diaz is a smaller guy than Anderson Silva. He's not quite as old, but I don't see Nate Diaz as the guy either. I don't know, Jake Paul's. I'm really curious as to how this does on pay-per-view. Hopefully by the end of the week we'll know, because the Tyron Woodley fights did not do, the second one especially, did not do very well. And people were starting to go is the Jake Paul thing done now? Anderson's a new opponent. I heard a lot of talk the week of the show. The Google searches were very high, but I expected big numbers of Google searches. But it's over 2 million, so that's a significant number. So you would think that there was some pay-per-view interest. I don't think it's 1 million buys or anything like that. And because it's Showtime, they can't lie, because it's a public company. So if there is a number that comes out from Showtime, it is the real number. And if there is no number that comes out at the end of the week, that tells you that they do not want to announce the number. So I'll probably know the television number, but in this day and age, the television number is only a percentage, whether it's a third or half. With Jake, it's probably closer to a third. So, again, we'll have an idea, but, unless they announce it, it's only a vague idea as far as how it did. But, the train keeps rolling. He's going to be doing more. He called out Canelo. He's bigger than Canelo. I think Canelo beats him. He's a different level of boxer. Some people go, well, once he does that, then he loses. But it's, it's like if he can go in with Canelo and he can go in without being massacred, it's a win for him, So I don't know that they're going to do it. That one should do pretty well. But it's really weird because with boxing, it really is. Boxing is supposed to be the serious sport, usually. And it's this kind of gimmick stuff is what's getting all the headlines, whether it's Floyd against the YouTube guy or whatever, so many of the serious fighters, you don't really hear much about, some of them do, pretty decent on TV and stuff. But, even Canelo hasn't done giant pay-per-view numbers. And Jake Paul is, whatever, he's one of the biggest ones. So Anderson Silva, by the stipulations in the match, he has to help Jake Paul somehow, I don't know how he's going to do this, somehow help get health care for the UFC fighters and more money for the UFC fighters. That was the stipulation.
That'll be handled in a week. He'll get that done, I'm sure.
Jake Paul will get that done. At least the one thing I'll say with Jake Paul, it's it's grandstand challenges and there's nothing that he can do. It's a great gimmick to have because everyone knows that UFC can afford to pay its fighters so much better and treat the fighters so much better, and it makes Dana White, he can be the babyface to Dana White being a heel. I don't know if he turns himself babyface. I think he is a babyface, maybe like Logan Paul is a babyface, where they book him as a babyface. But, you know, like even in this last one, you know, from what I understand, you know, the people that did watch this and that went to Phoenix to see it, and they did a great gate. You know, those people all came to see Anderson massacre him because they are thinking, you know, 35-year-old Anderson Silva, the, you know, UFC legend, is going to obviously beat this guy, not realizing that it's not an MMA fight and he's not 35 anymore. And, you know, it's just people get old.